Launches down the middle. Hill. Open. Caught. And they get it. Kansas City. The big play.
Starting to get warmer on the field, and the players are starting to feel it.
Starting to get warmer up here.
It sure is.
Vinatieri. Kick goes to Desmond Howard at the 1. Desmond Howard is off. You better turn it on or he's gone. Desmond Howard all the way into the Patriot end zone. As soon as they get back in, Green Bay takes it away. 99 yards.
Lynch in the backfield. Russell looks, throws inside. Oh my God! It's picked off at the goal line. It's picked off by God Butler. Intended for Lockett at the goal line. Oh my word! With 20 seconds left.
Washington outside left. Roethlisberger has time. Throws to the back of the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown by Holmes.
Unbelievable.
Incredible.
This would be from 48 yards out.
And this has been a year about Vinatieri and making some great kicks against the Raiders. Two of the greatest kicks that I've ever seen in my life.
Here comes one of greater importance if he makes it. And it's right down the pipe.
Then he pivots, fakes, chucks the big bomb halfway down the field to our hopefully still wide open tailback. I call it the annexation of Puerto Rico.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the APR podcast. I'm your host, Jordan. Stacks on stacks on stacks. Let's
go, y'all.
Here is my man, Mr. Raider, Eddie. How's it going tonight, brother?
Good, man. Good news all around. So excited for another episode. You know, we got the Usfl starting this weekend. So finally got some football to watch and bet on. So looking forward to it.
Oh, man. Cannot wait. Cannot wait for some USFL talk. But before we get into that, we've had some news break this week in the NFL, and also some draft stories that are happening as we move towards the NFL draft. Before we get to that, we are being presented by Tavour. Make sure to go to Tavour.com or download the Tavour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code Taproom for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. Yes. I had to get that in there.
Gotta pay the bills, dude.
Gotta pay the bills.
That's what she said.
But here we are. So, Eddie, Raiders news, right? It broke. Derek Carr agrees to a 3-year extension with the Las Vegas Raiders for $121.5 million. First glance, I was like, damn, that's a lot of fucking money. But what's your thoughts on the contract extension? You're a big Derek Carr guy, as we all
I love Derek Carr, and it's not even like when it's reported 3 years, 121 million. That's technically not the contract, right? Because the first year is only 24.9, with 7.5 that he'll get after the Super Bowl, 3 days after. But the Raiders have a team option on him for,
and he's not going to make the Super Bowl,
right? So they'll probably restructure the contract, whatever. But it's a 3-year deal for him. So when he comes out and plays well, like he will this year, he's already been playing well, but now when he has a, even more phenomenal year, really the big knock on Carr, and like I've even said it too, is like he's never really had a full set of weapons, right? It's always been like him doing everything, one man show, and now he has those weapons. So there's this, like, legitimately is like the first time he has no excuse. You know what I mean? So it's really like a prove it deal. Like if he comes out and plays terrible, right, which I don't think will happen, but if he does, the Raiders have an out. You know what I mean? And the flip side to that is he wanted a no trade clause, because he basically said, right, like, I'm either playing for the Raiders or I'm golfing, which is like something in today's NFL that you don't really see too often, right?
Well, I think the no trade clause is more that if you do get traded, like Russell Wilson, for example, he had a no trade clause. So he got to really choose where he wanted to go. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing with the no trade clause, is you don't get, you aren't forced to play for like the Jaguars. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And at the end of the day, dude, like, I think it's one of those contracts like after you really look at it and see, because like next year, I think after this year, it's 33 million, and then he can make 42.5 million on the
But his
last year
cap
of the
hit is
deal.
like 40 plus million though.
Right. And again, probably doesn't get that far, right? But the flip side of that is they were able to turn his 25 million that he was going to get this year into like a signing bonus. So now his cap hits way less. It actually gave the Raiders an additional like $20 million in cap space for this year. And they're going to have the I think it's the August or no, June 1st, the June 1st releases when those happen. So they're gonna Raiders gonna have some money to spend here after
Yeah,
the
but all the
draft
good
and
free agents
everything.
have been signed, dude. Like, what are they gonna do with that money?
I mean, you can extend players at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you
but
can
it's
give,
for this year.
yeah, but you can give Hunter Renfro a deal that he gets majority of his money in the first year, and then it kind of tapers off in the
But that still
next
wouldn't
two
affect
years,
his
3 years.
cap hit though.
Well, no, the additional money they receive from doing this deal now, that 25 million basically that they're getting.
Right, but I mean, like when you front a player money, it makes their cap hit further down the road. Like
Right.
that's the
But
problem
I'm talking
with
about
what the
this year.
I know, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm saying for Hunter Renfro. Like, okay, you re-sign him to a deal and you give him more money this year, but if you do that and you convert most of his money this year, then his cap hit's going to be more down the road. That's like what the
Right.
Rams keep doing. They keep extending cap hits down the road. You know what I mean?
Right, but in a couple of years, when like next year, when Amazon's in here buying NFL rights to the Sunday Ticket, they have Google that wants to buy rights into the NFL for view. Like the cap's just going to go up and up and up because every time one of those deals is signed, that's more cap space for every team. So
Plus
you may
inflation
have an
and
additional like 20, 30, 40 million in 2 years. You know what I mean? Who
yeah,
knows?
very well could, very well could.
So, I mean, if you're, that's kind of how these teams have done it. And that's what the Saints always did, right? Like, if you look back, like the year that NFL was signing new TV rights, new TV deals,
Yep.
all of a sudden the Saints are signing all these players, right? So,
Well,
I think it's smart, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, as a Raider fan, like Raiders don't do this usually. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't spend money like this. And when we did, it was Al Davis's dying years, and he signed like Ray Buchanan for fucking 15 million a year. You know what I mean? To move him to safety. Like, it's just like dumb moves. But now, like, they're actually making like productive, smart decisions, in my opinion. And like as a Raider fan, it doesn't feel real, dude. It feels like something's bad's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Nah, I
It's
mean,
just the feeling.
one of the things I was gonna actually ask you too is like, you know, where the Raiders are actually out here spending money, whereas like a couple of years ago they traded Khalil Mack because they literally couldn't afford to pay him
Right.
cash up front. So I mean, times are changing for the Las Vegas Raiders, but I think the interesting part that I learned this week too about this contract is, you know, this is now the third quarterback contract extension this offseason. And before, you know, Kyler Murray and his agent said, okay, we want this amount of money, right? And now it's
Right.
looking like, you know, that wasn't an obscene amount of money because, you know, I said this weeks ago, dude, like every time a quarterback signs, it's for more money every single year. Dude.
Always.
And we always look at
yeah.
it and we're like, damn, that's a lot of money. But if you don't have a quarterback, you're fucked in this league, dude. You need a quarterback, right? So now it's like, as a Cardinals fan, I'm like, I've been saying this, dude. Like, just pay Kyler. Just get the extension done. You've seen what bad quarterback play looks like in your franchise history. You've had like 3 good quarterbacks your entire franchise, and you're out here fucking telling Kyler like, oh no, we need to see another year. I don't know, bro. I just don't like it.
I just don't like what the Cardinals are doing with paying everybody else but him. Like they paid the coach, they paid the GM, you know what I'm saying? Like they're getting paid because of Kyler at this point. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
you said, like if they wait till next year, right? Then what happens when Lamar Jackson resigns and gets an extension? You know what I'm saying? Like he's waiting till next year as well. So and
He's not. The Ravens are.
Either way, well, the way they make it sound like in the media is that Lamar's betting on himself and he won't talk about it till after the
Could be.
season. But I agree. I think it's more the Ravens told him like, hey, let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And now he's switching the narrative.
Yeah.
You know, but like if let's say he play balls out, you know, doesn't get hurt, learns how to throw a football, and like plays really well, and then what's he worth? Like to that franchise, he's a $50 million guy, right? So
He's
now
already
you're
won an
waiting for
MVP
Lamar
too.
Right, like he's won an MVP. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the reason your team, like he's the reason Harbaugh still has a job in Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like Harbaugh's not
Pretty
there
much.
anymore if Lamar's not there. Because right before they drafted Lamar, remember everyone was saying Harbaugh's on his way out.
Yep.
And then they, 12-4 or whatever, he wins the MVP.
And the
So
next
now
quarterback after that's going to get paid. You know what I mean? It's just
right,
like you have to have a quarterback in this league. Josh Allen's, they paid him, and they gambled on Josh Allen because he only had one good year, really. He
mhm.
gets an extension.
Yeah,
Then he balls out again this year. So
right,
it paid off. Mahomes got paid. Aaron Rodgers got $50 million a year. Carr's getting $41 million a year. I mean, that's just the market for a quarterback. Like,
right,
and it's only going to go up. So why not just pay for it now?
right. And you have like two options that you can do, right? Like you can pay the quarterback what they're worth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it may not even be what they're worth. Like Tannehill got paid like almost 30 mil or whatever it was a couple years ago, right? And it's not because he's worth 30 whatever mil. Carson Wentz 30 mil. It's because, like you said, you have to have a quarterback, and Tannehill was winning. At the time Wentz signed his deal, he was a winning quarterback per se. Now he
I mean,
stinks,
Wentz,
but that's
no, but I
different.
mean, like, dude, Wentz had a winning record last year,
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
bro. Like
He
the
also had a
the
fucking
Washington Commanders, they were like, "Yo, we'll trade for this guy because we need a quarterback so bad." You know what
I
I
know
mean?
that's
Like,
insane. Like, I mean, he did have a 14 QB rating against the Jaguars, dude. You know what
but
I'm
I
saying?
mean, up until that game, dude, that's the problem. I mean, I don't mean to go off on a separate road, but I mean that's the problem with Wentz is he's up and down. But that's the thing is
Right.
like there's very few like elite quarterbacks, but still like the guys like Carson Wentz can still win you 8-9 games, and as long
Right.
as you have good talent around them and a great defense and stuff, you're set up to win. So it's like
Mhm.
a team like the Commanders are willing to pay for that, right? There's a
Right.
team that's going to be out there that's going to be willing to overpay for a quarterback.
Always, always.
You know what I mean? So it's like that's just a position that you have to have, and when you get one of those guys like a Kyler Murray or a Derek Carr, like Derek Carr, you can say what you will about him, average, a little bit above average, top 16 quarterback. I think we would all agree on. But like those guys are commodities in this league. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Gotta
And
pay
like the
them.
other option you can go down, right, is you can get extremely fucking lucky in the draft and get a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yep.
Right. Like, but like, let's go back to see like how many teams have been successful with a quarterback on a rookie deal. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like we mentioned Lamar Jackson earlier. That's true. And then
Josh
Joe
Allen,
Burrow.
Burrow, Kyler.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kyler has been successful, but
the
like,
Eagles
you know what I mean?
won a Super Bowl on Wentz's rookie deal.
Mhm.
Jared
So
Goff
like,
on a rookie deal.
right, like these things happen, but it's so rare, right? Like you have to have a team that you can build around them too. You know what I mean? Like the Eagles didn't just happen to win because Carson Wentz was like this phenomenal athlete. They didn't even win with Wentz, but like with Jared Goff and whatnot, the Rams were terrible when they got Goff. Like you were really bad, and then they were able to build around it, right? So like there's two options, but
Yep.
one of them involves an extreme amount of luck, and then the other involves like getting a guy. That's why like veteran quarterbacks are on the move. And
Yeah.
then surprising, like I still am surprised that Aaron Rodgers went back to Green Bay.
Why?
You
They
know,
were the best team in their division. They were the best team in their conference, and that
well, if
division
knowing
still
that,
sucks.
yeah, but if knowing Devontae Adams was leaving because you were signing, like
Yeah, but
that's a
he
little
knew that, dude. Like, where else is he gonna go and sign $50 million and have that kind of talent? Like, he knew if he took the amount of money that he thought he was worth, that they weren't gonna be able to re-sign Devontae Adams, and that's these things
yeah,
happen.
yeah, I thought he would go somewhere else too. If I can find some place with more talent, you know what I'm saying? Like Denver was an option that he could have gone to at the time. Like even if he went to Seattle and had Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a good option there. I mean, they were just saying like there was options other places. Apparently Miami was gonna fucking sell half the team to Brady just to get him over there, Like
I think the
I
biggest
don't know.
thing though for like Rodgers in the sense is that like he's gonna be a legend in Green Bay forever, dude.
Of course.
And that's kind of where things went awry with Brett Favre because like his exit was so ugly that like I often wonder how things would be if it wasn't like that, if
Mhm.
things didn't transpire the way they did, and that's not going to transpire that way with Rodgers. Rodgers is going to retire a Packer.
Right. I mean, and in all fairness, the Packers were right with getting rid of Favre. Like it was time. You know what I mean?
I mean,
He had that one good year.
he
He had
still
one
had
good
a
year in Minnesota,
yeah. I was gonna
but
say he had a
I
good
mean,
year, and Rodgers wasn't good that year, so it was growing pains. You know what I mean? Like
right.
everyone was like, at that time, everyone's like, "Oh man, the Packers shouldn't have got rid of Favre," you know. But look how things transpired. Still
Right.
only won Super Bowl without Brett Favre, but interesting
true.
stuff. You know, a lot of movement has been made on the on a lot of mock drafts, dude, this week. Obviously, we're a part of a mock draft right now on Twitter with a few other podcasts as well, and seeing how that transpires, like compared to other mock drafts, it's like there's a lot of uncertainty around this draft. I guess I would say. What's your thoughts on the draft and kind of where players are at right now and where you see them going?
It is interesting, dude. I think this is one of the first times I think it may be in my life. I don't know. I can't think of another draft that was as like in flux as this one. Like you can pull up 10 different mock drafts and it will have 32 different picks on each one for each team almost. You know what I mean? Like there's not one, like usually when you get a mock draft, you can kind of get an idea of like the first like 9-10 picks. Then when the Raiders get in there, they just fuck it up completely. And then like then that's when the draft starts, right? Is when like the Raiders are drafting. So but this year it's not like that. Like even the number one overall, which has been Aiden Hutchinson, I guess, in the majority of mock drafts, like we were both talking about before the show, we don't necessarily think he's a number one overall pick. We also both don't think that the Jaguars should hold on to that pick, but I guess that's like a different topic. But yeah, you can pick up or you can read an article tomorrow on CBS and review it with the article from today, and it's going to be completely different for players.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing too is like these mock drafts aren't even like really taking into consideration the trades that are going to happen, because I still think that Kansas City is a team that's going to move up in the draft to get a receiver that they want, just for the fact they have so many picks, and they have a lot of talent. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't necessarily need all those picks, but they need like, you know, a home run receiver or
But
whatever that, you know.
that receiver could fall to them at 29 as well, and Sky Moore. Because a lot of
It could
mocks
be.
have him projected, you know, late in the first round or early second round, and that's the thing. I think this is I think the thing with this draft is it's deep, but it's not like a ton of
It's not top heavy.
top heavy. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing with like quarterbacks. Like last year we had Trevor Lawrence, where it was like, you know, franchise quarterback. Now this draft, I feel like we have a lot of starter capable guys and guys with high ceilings. Like Malik Willis has a very high ceiling.
Right.
I keep asking people, like, people were in love with Trey Lance last year. Niners traded fucking like 4 first-round picks for him basically to get him, right? And Malik Willis is Trey Lance, like physical attributes, but he has more college tape. You know what I mean? And like I do think that a team could fall in love with Malik Willis. Like the Lions need a quarterback. They're drafting number 2, right?
Right.
So if you're Carolina, let's say at 6, and you also want a quarterback and you target Malik Willis, like that's our guy. That's the guy I want. Like they could potentially trade up to 1. Or what if you're a team behind them? Like let's say
Pittsburgh
Steelers or the New Orleans Saints. Like
have 2 first rounders. Yeah.
They could target a quarterback and entice Jacksonville with a package to trade up to number 1. So I don't think number 1 is out of play, because the Lions are such a wild card, dude. The Lions hold the card, bro, and nobody knows what the fuck they're gonna do. Nobody. You know what I mean? So that's the interesting point. I feel like always, like, mock draft season, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, dude. Like you hear things like teams are like, or beat writers are like, oh yeah, they're in love with this team, right?
Right.
Or this team is in love with this player. It's like, okay, like why is that news getting put out there? Like the team is putting that out there for a reason.
Exactly. And that's a good point, brings back to the trading thing. Because if you say you're in love with, like, all of a sudden this week, Trent Baalke likes Trayvon Walker, right? Like all of a sudden, oh, he might be the number 1 pick. Like, I don't honestly think he is.
But
You
if
know what I mean?
someone
But there's
loves
probably a
him-
team out there that's like, holy shit, that's a dude we want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So now they're like, fuck, do we have to trade up for him now? Like, is he available? Like, what do we have to do? So then it gets phone calls coming into Jackson. It's always like the first 3 teams in the draft that all of a sudden are interested in some random ass player that like no one was really talking about the whole time. And then also you got to understand, like, a lot of these mock drafts, when you guys look at them, like, these guys are just putting out some random name in a random spot to get you to click on it, go down to the comments and say, this fucking idiot, and blah blah, and just try to create some buzz off of it, right? Because then you go on Twitter and you share it and you go, let's look at this fucking guy said he's going to pick the third over. You know what I'm saying? So there are some mock drafts out there that are just clickbait. So just keep that in mind. But another team that could be a wild card for trading back too is the Houston Texans, who have a pick at 3, right? Let's say both Jacksonville and Detroit, let's say they take Hutchinson, and we'll just throw another defensive player or whoever, right? And now those quarterbacks are still available. They're not giving up as much because it's a 3rd pick, but Houston just needs everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not necessarily sold probably on one thing. They need defense, offensive line help, they need weapons, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, they need everything. So they could be a team that could trade back with the Saints, who, if they want to trade up, or vice versa. So the one thing I'm looking forward to in this draft is like how many, like, there's so many possibilities for trades.
Yep.
I think it's clearly shown, like, from just what I mean, the Saints and the Eagles just did a trade of all draft picks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, clearly there's teams that want to build through the draft. And there's also that idea in the NFL right now where you don't need draft picks, you need a star. Right. So I think that this draft this year could be, I mean, just the fact that there's so many options on the table, it's going to be one of the more interesting drafts I think we've had.
Another team we forgot to mention is the Seattle Seahawks for a quarterback. They could trade up, and they got a lot of draft capital, with the Broncos and stuff. That's the thing, and that's the thing is where we keep hearing like, oh, this is a mediocre quarterback draft class, right? And I feel like every time we hear like, oh, this is a great quarterback draft class, we get like one good quarterback. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, I feel like these, because honestly, nobody knows how these players are going to, how they're going to transition to the NFL. Like, it is a kind of shot in the dark. You can do the most research you possibly can, but you never know. You know what I mean? Like, Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Nobody knew he was going to be Tom Brady. So I feel like that, this could be a draft where it benefits a team like the Steelers, who are drafting 28th, and they could get a quarterback that falls to them, like Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett, and they pounce on it and he does good. Or even Carson Strong, a team picks him up in like the 2nd or 3rd round, because I think he has a ton of talent too. Like, I don't know, it's just you're right, dude. This is a wild card draft, dude. It's very interesting. Like, I've seen a ton of different mock drafts. I feel like everybody has an opinion on a lot of guys and how it's going to be. I do think it's a deep wide receiver draft, but I think a lot of teams need and want wide receivers, which, we could see 5 wide receivers taken in the 1st round.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. It's definitely, I think wide receiver is probably the strongest, like, top heavy position that we have in the draft, right? Like, like you said, like, I again, some of the mock that we did, I think we had 3 wide receivers go in the first like 15 picks. You know what I'm saying? And then like 5 picks later, 2 more were gone. You know what I'm saying? So I can definitely, like, wide receivers is going to be in abundance, I feel like, in this 1st round.
I also feel like offensive line too, because a lot of teams need offensive line help.
Always, he's saying built from the inside out. So you're going to see a lot of D-line, O-line receivers. And then there's like the 2 like secondary anomalies, right? And Hamilton and, I'm sorry, is that?
Well, he's a
from
safety,
Notre Dame. I'm
but
blanking his name.
like,
no, I'm saying DBs. Now I'm talking DBs, because you have Sauce and you have Hamilton, and that can be that. Some people are saying maybe the 2 best players in the draft, like, just
Hamilton's
for their
falling
position.
Hamilton's falling right now because he ran.
I know, because he ran some
4.7
4.740. Like,
but also if you watch his tape, he's not good at covering. He's more of a Jamal Adams, Jonathan Abrams type safety, and I think those guys, like, I still think there's a place for them. I think if you can scheme around it, they're useful, but I also think that you need to be able to cover as a safety, dude.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. Like in watching Jonathan Abrams' career so far, it's the most frustrating thing
You know what
in
I
the world.
mean?
Like he makes amazing plays at the line of scrimmage to where you're like, yeah, that's why you fucking draft him. And then as soon as there's a deep ball thrown and he's the guy back, you just know it's six. It's like unbelievable. It's crazy. So I can see that, but like just like another thing about the quarterbacks too, let's go back to that. I wanted to bring up is like if you take the quarterback class that we have this year, like if any other year, like you're talking like Ritter, um, just to name, a bunch of the quarterbacks that are going to be that could be in the first round. Like these guys are all like third round picks in normal years.
There's
You know what
no
I'm
way
saying?
Ritter goes in the first round.
You think so?
I'll bet you $1,000 Ritter does not get drafted in the first round.
I don't know, dude. That's not what they're saying though. You know what I mean?
Bro, the only quarterbacks I see getting taken in the first round is Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett and maybe Matt Corral. Because there's a lot of I think with Matt Corral, like you watch the tape and like he's a nice quarterback, dude. Like he can make all the throws and he's what I like to call a gamer. Like he's just a gamer, dude. Like he just puts it all out there, you know what I mean? And like he reminds me a lot of Big Ben, dude. Like a little bit more athletic than Big Ben. He's a gamer. But
yeah, I mean,
he was hurt. He got hurt in that bowl game, you know what I mean? And like he's still recovering from that injury, so that could hurt his draft stock. I thought before that he was going to be the first quarterback taken. Also, Sam Howell. That's the thing. There's like a lot of wild cards in this draft, dude. Like I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks with high ceilings. It's just they could also be like low floors. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't think any of the quarterbacks are like this year ready, like to step in. You know what I'm saying? They all have to be works in progress if you want them to be successful.
I feel like every time we say that though, those dudes step in and fucking ball out, dude.
Yeah, that's true. But I just feel like with this class specifically, like a lot of them have like raw talent. You know what I'm saying? But
I feel like it also depends on where they draft. Like Malik Willis, you put him in Carolina right now, bro. That's a team that they have a good defense. They lack offensive line play. They need offensive line play, but Malik Willis is athletic enough to overcome some offensive line deficiencies. Plus, they have good skill position players, right? Then you have like Pittsburgh. Like, let's say they get Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral or even Ritter. Like, that's a team that has a great defense, right? So you just have to minimize mistakes, or even Sam Howell, minimize mistakes, and you could be a playoff team, you know?
yeah, I mean, again, a lot of it has to do with what team is drafting you too,
Yep,
right? Like
exactly.
they like that same thing with like, let's go back to Patrick Mahomes, for example. Like the Chiefs took him at like the 15th, 16th. What was he like I feel like he was like a middle first round. I don't remember the
like
exact
14th,
number.
I think, 15th or
Yeah,
14th, 15th.
and he got to sit behind Alex Smith, right, for a season.
Yep.
And then that Chiefs team was good with Alex Smith. You know what I'm saying? Made it to the playoffs, and then he steps in. It's just like you have a good team, and now you have a good player to go with it. You know what I'm saying? Like if Patrick Mahomes gets drafted by the Jets, are we talking about the same Patrick Mahomes? Who knows?
I think the difference though is like I think some of these teams drafting quarterbacks are looking for quarterbacks. Eddie's they need a quarterback, and like defense is one of the hardest things to sustain long term. You know what I mean? Like we see it every year. Like the best defense is not the best defense the year after unless you have a guy like Aaron Donald. You know, so that consistency is hard. So it's like Pittsburgh, like they're always good defensively, right? Like no, they've been good defensively for like my entire lifetime.
Forever. Yeah.
You know, they have a top 10 defense. So it's like that's a team where I could see them at 20 drafting a quarterback, throwing him in there. Like I think they're definitely taking a quarterback unless for some reason 4 quarterbacks get taken, they don't trade up, then I could see them going elsewhere because they also need offensive line help too. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
It might not be a good idea throwing a rookie quarterback behind that offensive line.
That's what I mean. But they have Trubisky, right? So you're not putting a rookie quarterback.
That's true.
There.
Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah,
that's actually a great point. Carson Strong, third round.
Perfect. Could be like I could see because I know that Tomlin went to like every quarterback pro day.
Well, he was also at the Senior Bowl too.
So they've been scouting quarterbacks, so they're going quarterback at some point in this draft.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
they have to find their future
That's-
quarterback.
Right. They have to do it. And like sometimes you don't get to wait for a great draft class to fucking do it. Sometimes you just gotta fucking
Well, the thing
go
with the
for it, you know what I
Steelers too is they're never shitty enough to draft at the top of the draft. You know what I mean?
mean?
So they kind of
right.
have to like they. Same with the Packers. That's why the Packers, when they had a chance to pounce on Jordan Love, who a lot of scouts, they said physically he was the best quarterback in that draft. They took their chance. You know what I mean? Because you don't get the opportunity very often.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you got to take your chances when you get them. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for a team like the Steelers, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can like all the like I get like the quarterbacks in this draft, I feel like are all equally like there's equal in all of in everything. Like,
Well,
if one's more
I think
physically,
Malik Willis has positioned himself as QB1.
yeah, he'd be the QB1, but like I mean he's got knocks too. You know what I'm saying? Like
But
otherwise
his only knocks though is that he had a couple of bad games this year where he threw 3 interceptions against Louisiana Tech. Bad game. But I mean, he's not on a great team. He's on Liberty. He had a good coach in Hugh Freeze, former coach of Ole Miss, and he used to play for Auburn, transferred from Auburn to Liberty. But you look at the physicals, dude. You look at his tape. You look at the arm talent. Like, there's no way you can look at that and be like, I have any other quarterback ahead of. I mean, that dude threw 70 yards on a rope, dog, on a dime.
no, I'm not saying like physically he's not the most talented, but like, reading defense is a thing and like having to like, like learn NFL blitz schemes and things like that.
I mean, Patrick
I mean,
Mahomes in
you
his
don't,
MVP season didn't even know what to cover. He didn't know how to read defenses either.
he also had fucking Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill to throw the ball to, dude.
I
That's
mean,
a little different. And Andy Reid.
Malik Willis could have similar type talent and wherever he gets drafted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like I mean, I understand your point with the between the ears, you know what I mean? The mind part. But I just feel like there's certain attributes you can't teach people. You know what I mean?
No, 100. I agree 100%.
And so you'll always take a risk. Like Jeff George, for example. Like, Jeff George had his issues, right? But like, dude had one of the best arms I've ever seen in my life. Like, 32 teams would have taken him that year that he got drafted. You know what I mean?
You got to watch him firsthand.
Yeah, you did. But there's a lot of quarterbacks like that, like arm talent. And I feel like Patrick Mahomes, like a lot of teams missed on him because they were like, oh, his decision making's bad. And then now they see him and he's making all these plays and they're like, wow, we overthought it. You know what I mean? So now I think it's back to square one.
That's like the wave of like how the draft goes, right? Like some like couple years down the road, it might be the smart quarterbacks back and the pocket quarterbacks back. But right now, everyone's looking around like you got to be mobile in the back, as a quarterback to be successful in the league.
Top off,
right? Like, so like that's what's hot now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Chad Pennington, Eddie would not survive today.
No, dude. There's so many quarterbacks. Like Rich Gannon wouldn't survive in today's game, dude. The guy could barely throw it 30 yards downfield.
Bro, he was mobile and he had the sidearm sling, dude.
Yeah, dude. Fucking bam, dude. He was. I mean, it worked then, but that's because he had Jerry Rice and Tim Brown running 7-yard routes.
No. That's what I'm saying. The NFL like is one of those sports where like people, former NBA players always shit on today's game. They're like, oh, back in my day, we would have taken his head off. It's like football is one of those sports where it's like, damn, dude, back then I probably wouldn't, or now I probably wouldn't be able to play. I can't move as fast, dude.
Right, dude. Yeah. It gets the game is ever evolving, and I think that's the one thing that makes NFL so great is like it evolves year to year. It's not like, it's not like, like NBA, like Curry comes around now, everyone shoots threes. Like even at like 8 years old, these kids are just jacking up threes now or whatever. But like that's like, once a generation, you know what I mean? But like NFL, it's like every year, dude.
Eddie, what number is greater, 3 or 2?
Obviously, dude, it's the analytics of basketball, dude. But I also don't want 8th graders not knowing how to run a pick and roll and just knowing how to shoot it from downtown. Dude.
You have to run a pick and roll is the essential of basketball now. And if you don't have somebody that can attack the rim, it collapses the defense, and that's what opens up the three-pointer.
But everyone wants to shoot threes, dude. That's my point.
Well, everyone wants to shoot threes because you have to. If you don't have 4 guys on the floor to shoot threes now, you cannot play professional basketball.
Oh, of course. Thank you, Golden State.
Yeah. we're getting way off topic. Let's move into these. Let's move into these USFL games real quick. Let me pull up the lines here.
Yep.
I sent it to you earlier.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
Let's see here. All right, so
It's
we
just nice
got
that we have games.
Saturday, April 16th, 4:30 p.m. We got the New Jersey Generals playing at Birmingham, Alabama. So they're not heading into to play the Stallions, but they will be facing the Stallions, who are from where are the Stallions from?
I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Come on, man, you know this.
No, dude,
It's Birmingham,
no,
right? The Birmingham Stallions.
Oh yeah,
right?
they're technically the home team.
They are the home team. So what's your thoughts on what's our thoughts on this game? Let's talk about this game real quick.
The under.
I think the under is the play for all these games, to be honest. I think that's
obvious. But like, I wonder if the book is giving the Stallions like 3 points because they're home. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's a thing, like, is there even going to be enough fans in the stands to like have a home field advantage? Are the fans even going to realize that that the Stallions are the Birmingham team? Like, I don't know if that matters too much, but I think like the safe bet, like we just kind of mentioned, and that's going to be the safe bet for every game this week will probably be a under type bet. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's going to be a lot of garbage football, especially like this is like a prime time 4:30 p.m. game on a Saturday. You know what I mean? The very first game of the USFL. So there's probably gonna be some nerves in the building too, dude.
Yeah.
You know, to go with that. So with that being said, I like the Generals actually at +3 because it'll probably be a close game. You know, like I don't see like one team, maybe one team blows out another, but I like the Generals at +3. Plus, you take a money line, it's +130, so that's nice. You know what I'm saying? Get plus money because you don't really know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, this line basically opened at 3, it stayed at 3, so it's been pretty consistent throughout the week. You know, Skip Holtz is the coach of the Stallions. The Generals is going to be coached by Mike Riley, from former Oregon State coach. Both guys are going to want to run the ball. They kind of play similar styles. I definitely like the under 42 in this just because I think they both want this to be a low scoring game. It's going to be a defensive type battle. And I just think that, you know, in football, offense always comes slower than defense, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I mean, honestly, I would take every under this week. You're at least going to go 2-2. At the very worst, you're going to go 2-2. At the best, you could go 4-0. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think the under is definitely the play here. And I agree. I would take the Generals +3. I don't think their roster is like 3 points worse than the Stallions. And I also don't believe there's going to be. Does Birmingham have a home field advantage? Maybe. Like, how much better? I don't know, dude.
Don't know. Yeah, don't know. We don't know if
there could be like
be there.
10 fans in the stadiums.
Right. It could be nothing. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? They haven't announced that it's like a sellout or anything like that. Like, what is a sellout? You know, it's just I mean, the people that are there are probably getting free tickets. Let's be real. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right, let's move on to this. Let's move on to this next game. We got this is going to be Sunday, April 17th. We got it also in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, the Houston Gamblers +2.5 against the Michigan Panthers -2.5. I actually like the Panthers here -2.5. I think we talked about this during the preview. I think they have one of the better rosters.
Yep. I agree.
And you know, I don't even have to lay a whole possession here. And Jeff Fisher is probably 2.5. Jeff Fisher might be the best coach in this league.
Right. And it's only 2.5. You know, like that to me feels like the easy, like if we were doing best bets, you know what I'm saying? Like that would be a best bet for me, would be the Panthers here. Like we already thought before that they're the best team in the league. And now that, I mean, they're not even, like you said, like a field goal wins it for you. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Yeah, I like it. I like the Panthers here. I think the Panthers win. I mean, I could see this being like a double-digit win for them, even.
Yeah,
because you have the best coach, you have the best play. I think you have the best quarterback in the league as well,
hands down. Yeah, no, I think this is no-brainer -2.5. I'm actually gonna put the bet in right now. Michigan Panthers -2.5. All right. Also on April 17th at 1 p.m. in Birmingham, Alabama, we have the Stars of Philadelphia facing the New Orleans Breakers Right now, New Orleans -2.5. What's your thoughts?
Well, this is one of the higher over-unders for the week at 43. So um it must mean that they have better offenses or worse defenses. Not 100% sure there, but still riding the under, I think, up to 43 because they go at 21-17, 20, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if a team scores 24 this week, they're going to win. So, as shitty as that sounds, but like, neither of these teams really rocked the boat for me when we were previewing the USFL in the offseason. So,
Yeah, I agree, dude. I don't like either team. I think New Orleans has the best fucking logo.
you like their
though.
jerseys, right?
Yeah, I like their uniforms and their logo. So with that, I'm gonna take the Breakers -2.5.
Nice.
And I would also take the under for sure. I would take
Right.
this under.
We're taking about Jersey. The Jersey gets them an additional 3.
Well, I mean, right now we don't know anything about
No,
these
I know,
teams.
I
You know
know.
what I mean? So
You got to find something, dude. Like, let's be real. Like,
yeah,
I mean, my daughter hit 3 parlays this year, dude, and she's never watched football in her life, and she's 7.
you know what I mean.
So, like,
And this next game, I feel like I have a good handle on, but the line has moved a lot. Last game that's going to be played, and it's going to be played in prime time, April 17th at Birmingham, Alabama as well. The Tampa Bay Bandits against the Pittsburgh Maulers. I think these are two of the better teams in the league, actually, by the way. These might be the 2 best teams in the league. What's your thoughts on this
really,
one?
2 best teams, and it's a 4-point spread. Is Tampa that much better? Is that what we're thinking?
I mean, I do think Tampa is the best team.
Uh-huh.
I do think that the Pittsburgh Maulers have a good quarterback, though. Like, I mean, a good roster. Like, they have Josh Love, who used to play at San Jose State, who's their backup, and he was good. And then they have Kyle Lauletta starting. He may not end the game starting. I mean, I would lean the Tampa Bay Bandits just because they have Todd Haley as their head coach. And I do think that they have the best roster for sure. I think that Tampa Bay has the best roster.
Okay.
So
I like Tampa Bay too.
I would lean. I liked it better at 2.5 than I did at 4, though.
Right. I agree with that. It is a little rough at 4. Like, I don't think any of these teams you should have to give more than a field goal on.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, at +4, I honestly might take the Maulers. I might wait for this to hope it comes down to 3.5. But man, I mean, dude, you gotta bet numbers, not teams. So I'm probably gonna take the +4. But I do think that the Bandits are the best team.
Yeah.
It's just hard to.
It's just, yeah.
There's gonna be some blowouts though in this first week, bro. I guarantee it.
Right. There'll be a game where like one team just like completely shits the bed, and you know what I mean? It's like
it's gonna be interesting. And honestly, dude, the Bandits might get blown out. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Like, just because like they're good on paper doesn't mean they're good on the field. You know what I mean?
Plus, like, how much practice time have they had? You know what I mean? These dudes are getting paid like nothing, but they are trying to play to be in the NFL. You know what I mean? So they're playing for something. Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, this isn't like a throw-in. You know what I'm saying? It's not like this is a replacement players thing in the NFL. You know, like,
well, it kind of is.
A little bit, but it's a minor league, you know, and they know it, which is fine. You know, I feel like this is like a tryout for the XFL at this point.
I mean, we'll see, dude. We'll see. We'll even see if the USFL makes it the whole season. The fact they're playing in one place, I don't think that's a good sign to start out with, dude, for starters.
Right. I agree, dude. Like, how are you supposed to make any revenue? You know what I'm saying? You sell like all day passes and shit. Like, I don't know how. I mean, NBC paid to have this on, so I guess they have something.
All right, so let's get 2 best bets, Eddie. What's your 2 best bets of the week?
All right. So first best bet, I guess we're gonna be taking the Michigan Panthers at -2.5. I like that. Don't have to give up more than a field goal. And my second best bet is we're gonna see a lot of ugly football.
Nah, you gotta have another best.
That's the bet.
Nah, that's a given.
Can I just bet that? Okay.
That's a given.
So then my next best bet, actually, I'm going to take the under in that Breaker Stars game, under 43, second highest under of the week. And I really feel like these games are going to be low scoring affairs, dude. So that's what we're going with.
I'm going to go General Stallions under 42. And then I'm also going to take the Michigan Panthers -2.5.
Yeah, I feel like that one's like,
that one.
Like, because it looks so easy, we're going to get shit on.
Probably, but, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of APR, breaking down USFL, also talking NBA, NFL draft. Sorry, not NBA, NFL draft. Obviously, as we get more towards the USFL, we'll get to know these teams a little bit more and understand the way they play and get to handicap it a little bit more. But based off general consensus, I think we both agree I would take under in every single game.
Yep.
But also take our best bets as well. I do think the Panthers -2.5 is a great value. I do think they're one of the better rosters in the USFL. So thank y'all for joining us. Make sure to go to Vour.com or download the Vour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code Taproom for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. Great craft beer delivered straight to your front door. You don't even got to leave your seat, baby. Get straight to your front door. It's beautiful. I'm not with Ben. For Raider Eddie, I'm Jordan Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Lats, I'll be back for Taproom on Sunday night. So will Eddie for trivia. You definitely want to tap in for that. We'll see y'all later. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the first week of XFL, baby. Let's go.
Or the USFL even.
USFL.